Neon lights, a noble prize. Then a mirror speaks. The reflection lies. You don't have to follow me. Only you can set me free. I sell the things you need to be. I'm the smiling face on your TV. I'm the cult of personality. I exploit you. Still you love me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Thought Process. We've had some mishaps today. But anyway, we're still picking up the pieces of what we have, and we're gonna get back into this episode. If you hadn't already joined us live, today we're talking about cults, the occult, dark arts, yeah, let's get into it. What's going on, man?
Not much. We were talking earlier about some of the successes that I had this week. Was on my exercise bike all the days I was supposed to be on this week. I got my 10 miles done in under 30 minutes, which was one of my goals. I don't think I can consistently do that every single day, but did you actually know that when you open a bottle, you're not supposed to make the noise?
Nope. I make the noise all the time.
It's actually highly inappropriate to do that.
To whom?
I don't know if that only applies to wine or if it also applies to alcohol, because usually you don't serve a whole bottle of hard alcohol to like a table. But yeah, when you open the bottle of wine in a fine restaurant, you're taught to make the least amount of noise as you possibly can.
Why is that?
I think it's just to keep the ambiance of what's going on to them and not bring attention to what you're doing. But I'm not
that's
exactly sure.
That's some good server notes.
Yeah.
Good thing I'm not a server.
So jumping into cults, there's been differences between what some people consider cult, religion, way of life, just wanting to follow someone's teachings, to anything you can think of.
Well, why don't we mention some of the most known cults that we've come to research?
Okay.
Like we have Skull and Bones, we have Scientology, Nixum. I forget if that's how you say it. We have a lot of people would consider that religions are cults.
Yeah. So like Scientology is kind of cultish in the sense of what they do and how they hold themselves. But a lot of the things that connect religion and cult and ideas of higher powers are symbols. There's always symbols throughout everything. You go to Christianity, it's the cross. You go to Skull and Bones, it's the skull and bones and the number 322, which we'll get more back into later on. Even if you think of like a psychic, you think of the crystal ball. Mm-hmm. If you think of Satan, you think of a serpent. If you think of
or devil horns,
yeah,
so the number of the beast.
So everything has a symbol that was taken, and it's interesting because a lot of different religions, cults, followings, their symbols kind of intertwine at a certain point. Like the Scientology one, I actually just thought about this right now. We didn't talk about this earlier. The Scientology symbol is an S with two triangles that curve through each other. And the S stands for Scientology. Should be kind of obvious there. The top triangle represents a set of Scientology factors. There's two different sets of factors. The first one is knowledge, responsibility, and control. The second, which is the bottom triangle, consists of affinity, reality, and communication. So those are kind of the standards that they live by. Mm-hmm. I think the main one that they do is that gold one, the second one.
This one?
I think that's kind of the one that you see the most, at least from what I was looking at. But I mean, even if bring up the Skull and Bones one. I mean, there's nothing super fancy about the Skull and Bones one, but it's literally just a skull and two. I want to say they're femur bones. Or no, they're the high part of the leg. That's not the femur, right? What's the top bone here?
Yeah, I think that's
Is
the
it
femur.
pelvis?
No, so that's
Okay.
I think that's the femur.
So the one on the left is the Skull and Bones one.
This one.
That one, yeah. So you have the Skull and Bones, which is like pirates use the Skull and Bones.
Mhm.
You see that on like toxic labels. So like when it's toxic waste, you'll see like a Skull and Bones kind of concept. But then within it, they also say that there's a meaning that most people can't find out.
Yeah.
So like the Scientology one with the 2 triangles and the S, there's more of a meaning behind that than just Scientology and the 6 concepts that they live by. There's a 322 on the Skull and Bones. The 322 is supposed to be more than like they're perceived to say. So that ties into another cult / way of living, which is numerology, where the number 322 means more than just 322. It actually adds into a different number, which then comes back as something else. We'll get back to later.
Let's get back to what is a cult, and a cult is basically.
I have the definition right here.
Go ahead.
So a system of religions and devotion directed toward a particular figure or object.
And also, wouldn't you say that a cult is more likely to be private? Not everybody can join it. And most of them, I wouldn't say that's the case with religion, but most of them, you need to be invited or you need to be born into them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised to see things that, only they would know what they mean. When it comes to their logo, when it comes to the way they present themselves. For the longest time when we were kids, we used to do secret handshakes. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty normal across the board.
Yeah. You want to be able to have something that someone else doesn't, or that someone else can't understand.
It's about exclusivity.
Yeah.
If you're not a member, it's like, dude, now that we were talking about this earlier, I was thinking about Costco or places like Costco where you need to be a member in order to be able to purchase there.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that that's a form of a cult?
No, because the reason for the membership is not to exclude people. The reason for what they call a membership is to make up the extra cost for the cheapness of the food that they provide.
You mean from the groceries?
Yeah. So they buy at bulk expecting to sell more, but the cost they understand they can't get back through just selling items. So they sell you this membership. So it's up to you how much you buy. The more you buy, the more money they're going to make. Mm-hmm. But if you only go in there once a month, they're probably not making enough money to cover the cost of buying bulk. So they throw in this thing called membership.
But
you don't get any benefits. There's no there's no other agenda but to sell you food. Like I don't see anything else within Costco. Like I mean, if you think about it, like you'll be loyal to Costco and not go to Sam's Club. So
but that's my point.
In the sense they take the principles. So it's the same concept. Why I say a lot of religions and cults, they have the same. They kind of have the same thing, just twisted in different ways.
So okay, what I was referring to, I mean, let's stand back a little bit. If you look at a sports team, they become cultish, right? It becomes about the sport. It becomes about the players. Like there's a lot of athletes that are worshipped day in and day out across the board in sports.
Yeah, like Kobe dies and everyone is crying, and it's like you've never met this guy before. You don't know anything about him, but he plays basketball. And people have his face tattooed on them, or like you have like Los Angeles Angels tattooed on your leg, and It's like you will always hate the rivals.
Yeah.
So yes, and then they say that there's a cult following behind this sport, cult
Mhm.
following behind that. So yes, the word can be used in many different ways.
So, okay, so you mentioned about what a cult is.
Yeah.
So some of the most famous ones that you guys may know of is like Greg said, Skull and Bones. We have Nixum, which was recently just discovered about, I don't know, I'd say like 5 years ago.
Yeah. Some people consider Scientology a cult.
Scientology. What else? The Freemasons.
Yeah, there was. What was that one called? I can't even remember the name of it now. The Family Church, I believe it's called. Here, I'll find it real quick.
The Family Church. I don't think I've ever heard of that one before.
I believe the guy's name is David Koresh, who was the leader of it.
Not sure.
I'll find it really quick.
But there are many different ones that have been on the mainstream media, and there are other ones that we have not really talked about.
So David Koresh was one from Waco. There's actually a documentary on Netflix about it. It's not even necessarily a documentary. It's a movie made for the story that was dramatized. So they dramatized the story of Waco and published it. It was good to watch.
For people that don't know, what is Waco?
Waco is Texas. There? So a guy named David Koresh, he started a cult and started recruiting people. And I don't necessarily think they all knew what was going on, but he started to recruit people who had higher standing. So he started recruiting like lawyers and real estate people, just a little bit more educated people so that he could protect himself. So he had a lawyer there, so he knew what he can do within the eyes of the law and not get in trouble. And then, so he recruited advisors essentially, and he said he was a prophet. Let's see here. What's the name? They had to have a name. I don't have a lot of information directly set up right now to talk about him. But essentially he started stocking up on guns. And I don't think the entire church knew about it. I think it was more just less the elders. And so the government found out that he was holding all these guns. So they did an investigation. They had a guy go in like he was going to join the church, get information, get the layout, so on and so forth. And then one day they went to go raid it. And when they went to go raid it, they ended up shooting back. They were like, there's women and children in here. Stop trying to invade. And the whole concept was that...
it became the siege.
Yeah.
The siege, yeah.
So he said that the whole time, like throughout the whole cult phase, he was saying that they were the last like disciples of God. So the devil was going to essentially come for them and they needed to be ready.
Wow.
And so he used that as when they got sieged. Like, this is the time we need to ascend, essentially.
So the siege began in early 1993. Wow, come on, cookies. So the siege began in early 1993 when a government raid on a compound near Waco, Texas, led to a 51-day standoff between federal agents and members of millennial Christian sector called the Branch Davidians.
Yes.
The siege ended dramatically on April 19, 1993, when fires consumed the compound, leaving some 75 people dead, including 25 children. Wow, man.
Yeah, because they had families there, and actually he took on. I don't know if they were actually considered his wives. I think he did marry some of them, but he was essentially, he could have sex with anyone's wives, and he was doing that. And I think he even wanted, I think he did get married to an underage girl because the parents were part of the cult and approved it.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Wow, that's really...
and so I think he had 3 direct wives, but I think in the sense of it, he had kids with some of the other wives that were there.
I mean, the problem with these types of things is that there's always someone at the very top. You know,
Yeah.
they basically make up all the ground rules, and they have power and dominion over the whole operation, basically.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yep.
So imagine, dude, like 75 people, so 50 people, 50 adults actually fell for this guy as a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
They believed in him. He promised them. He sold them the story. He sold them a storyline that they could follow, and that was their demise.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really interesting in retrospect with what we were saying with sports, right?
Yeah.
They have a cult following almost. People put their favorite sports team stickers on their car.
Yeah.
They wear jerseys of other men with their other men's like last names.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily see an issue with being like, oh, my team's better than your team kind of thing. But like things like this, the Heaven's Gate was a cult where this is clearly is not going to end well. So Heaven's Gate was founded by a guy named Marshall Applewhite. And his idea was that they were aliens. And
Okay, can I read this really quick?
here, go ahead.
Heaven's Gate was an American UFO religious cult based near San Diego, California. It was founded in 1974 and led by Marshall Applewhite and
Yes.
Bonnie Nettles.
So he apparently he was actually in the Army. Yeah, he was in the United States Army. But the belief that they had was that they were aliens and that there was going to be a flyover during one of these comets that were coming by. Look at him.
Craig,
Look at that
would you
picture.
follow this guy?
Nah, dude. But
He seems like somebody who they're lost, man.
so the concept, leave this up because one of the other pictures I'll talk about in 1 second.
Okay.
The belief was that they were aliens, and when this comet was coming, there was going to be a flyover of aliens, and the only way to be picked up by the aliens was to die. You needed to leave this body to be conscious, so your consciousness can go up to the UFOs. So when the comet came, they ended up killing themselves. It was him and 39 other people. That picture right there with the purple blanket,
Yeah.
they all laid down in a bed, put the purple blanket over them, and I forget exactly how they killed themselves. I think they just took poison, some type of poison. And so when they discovered them, there was just 39, 40 people laying in the bed. Like, it wasn't like they all knew they were killing themselves.
Yeah.
And they put those blankets over them because they thought they were going to be transported into the UFO.
Now, what if their consciousness did escape and they're in the depths of
And they're on a UFO. Maybe they're gone into the next dimension.
what's that the Saturn's big moon?
I don't remember.
Jupiter's moon? I forget what it is.
But that's I don't know. That's too far for me. Like, I don't think we need to kill ourselves in an opportune moment to be able to ascend to something else. I think death is inevitable. You can't avoid it. You can avoid it for as long as you possibly can, in the sense of like, doing everyday things to stay alive,
Mm-hmm.
staying away from things that will kill you, but you will eventually die, and something will happen after that, regardless if it's you fall asleep and you just see darkness for the rest of your days, or you don't even realize it. Because I mean, like when we go to sleep, we have a dream, but we don't really know what happens here or around us when we're sleeping.
What if this is our dream?
Sure.
What if we're dreaming now? We're asleep. We're like,
We have a longer consciousness of the dream we're in.
yeah.
Sure.
Why don't we just start our own dream cult?
No, but
Thought process dream cult. You know, we just I don't know. Let's see what we can devise here.
yeah. So I'm gonna jump into the Masons.
Okay. Let's get into it.
So the Masons, I just want to start with the logo since we talked about the logos. Their logo is the square and compass. So not a compass like you would do like north, south, east, or west. Compass like the one you would do the measurements, like the circles with in middle school where you would just draw circles all day. That kind of a compass. And they have a G in the middle. So the tools, the square and compass, the tools were used by stonemasons, but Freemasons viewed them symbolically. So there's a small difference between stonemasons, Freemasons, and Masons. So they were actually professions. So it was like saying
well, the Masons
it's
were
like saying a contractor and an electrician, kind of. But in the sense of like if someone who built a church, like a giant cathedral, once a giant cathedral is made, there's not much reason for that guy to stay here. He would need to travel somewhere else to create another cathedral. So that's where the Freemason concept came in. He was free to go wherever he wanted. Where a Mason kind of stayed in that area because he had family, so on and so forth. And he would do others like smaller jobs.
And basically, these are the people that kind of built America.
In a sense, I guess,
right?
Yeah. In a sense, because it's just like having unions right now. It's kind of almost the same concept, but over time, it kind of built into this other thing that we now use now, which is kind of just a club for the most part. I was very disappointed in looking at the Masons now and thinking there was more to it than there actually is. It's almost kind of seems like an old man's club.
Like an Elks Lodge?
Kind of. like I was very disappointed. I did go into the conspiracies, but
like
I also...
I mean, the conspiracies were more about how they would initiate people, how they would have certain rituals that they would have to do, and they thought that it was part of the dark arts. And
well, let's go back to the symbol real quick because it actually explains a lot.
Okay.
So the square represents the square conduct as they go through their lives. So to make sure that their lives are squared away and they're on the right path, which, like I said, in cults, they kind of want to improve your life, but then take advantage of it somehow. So then
it's
the
a
compass,
principle.
Yeah,
It represents the principles by what they abide by in order to have everything squared out, like you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the compass reminds them to modify their conduct and to keep them due bound. So essentially modify what they're doing wrong and make sure they're in the right path. The letter G in Freemasonry could possibly stand for God, but the Masons kind of didn't believe in a specific religion. They accepted all religions. There were different sects that would take on their own kind of concepts. So the main group would be like, yeah, we take on all religions, but then there'd be this supremacy, like Christians are the only true religion, so we don't want to be a part of this mixing. Or there was a thing with Islams too. We're not going to be a part of this. So there were different sects of the same kind of club, essentially. And so one of the things that they kind of believed in is that there is a grand architect. So some people say the G stands for grand architect. And they believe that there is something that created us. This grand architect whoever you believe it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a kind of a speculation what the G stands for. So
I thought it was also that I heard and saw that they were
Saw, like the horror movie Saw?
no, that they for what they believed in the God of Light, which that's actually where the conspiracy started from, is that they worshipped the God of Light. And if you look into the Bible and the verses in the Bible, the God of Light is referred to as Satan or Lucifer.
So what I had seen is that, like I said, there are different sects of Masonry where they did say that some bad things could have gone on, but it's not part of Masons altogether. So
it
it's
might
like
have been. It might have been.
Satanists are part of the Christian religion. Like, we understand that it's a thing, but what they do is not what Christians do, kind of.
Right. So it's like a variation
Yeah.
of the club. They just kind of interpreted it their own way, and that's what they believed on.
Yeah. So the letter G together with the square and the compass therefore means that we must always be virtuous in our actions and act wisely, as the great architect of the universe is omnipresent and is constantly watching us, which is what a lot of people say with the Illuminati, is that the triangle with the eye. So it's an ever watching architect of the universe. So there is
Are
things
we going
that
into
go in.
Are we going into Mordor now? Is this Mordor now?
Well, sure. So there's a lot of different things. So like Shriners. Have you heard of Shriners before?
Shriners? No, I know what a shrine is, but I don't know what a Shriner is.
So there's a Shriners Hospital. You ever seen a commercial? You know, the guys, remember in Aladdin how the monkey had that hat, the red hat with the little thing coming off?
Yeah.
Do you ever remember seeing guys wear those hats and driving little cars?
Not around here.
No? Okay, they do it in like parades. So there's a place called a Shriners Hospital, and there's a lot of people who like donate their time to it. But Shriners International, also known as the Shriners, or formerly known as the Ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, is a Masonic society established in 1870 and is headquartered in Tampa, Florida. Shriners International describes itself as a fraternity based on fun, fellowship, and the Masonic principles of brotherly love, relief, and truth. There are approximately 350,000 members from 196 temples or chapters in the USA, Canada, Brazil, Bolivia, Mexico, Panama, and Philippines, Europe, and Australia. The organization is best known for the Shriners Hospital for Children that it administers, and the red fezzes, that's what the hat's called, is a fez, the members wear. So
that's the fez.
Yeah, those are the fez. So you'll see them like remember middle school, Columbus Tustin. They do the parade. Saturday mornings they do those parade. You'll see Shriners there. They'll drive around in these little cars with the hats on, and it's actually kind of funny. They're all like older guys. So I didn't actually know that they came from the Masonic order. I actually, where I used to serve, there were two gentlemen. One was it was a dad and a son. They were both Masons. They didn't really talk too much about it, but they did say they were Masons, and they did say they go on trips because of being Masons. But looking into it, they do go like as different groups and meet up for like a big event kind of concept.
Do you think that? Damn.
So do I think what?
Dang, dude. Do you think that saying you're a Freemason, it's like saying of being a vegan?
No.
What do you say that veganism or being vegan is also sort of a cult?
No, because vegans will attack vegans. It's like you can't have Jolly Ranchers because Jolly Ranchers have gelatin in it. Gelatin is not vegan. So like you say that, oh yeah, every once in a while I have a Jolly Rancher, a vegan will be like, you're not vegan then.
That's what I'm saying, is that they believe in this grand belief that because vegetarians one and then vegans a different one, right?
Think about this though. Okay, the Masons have it's almost kind of like the Boy Scouts. You know much about the Boy Scouts?
A little bit, yes.
It's like you start off in elementary school as a Cub Scout. Then you become a Weebelo, and then you become a Boy Scout, and then you can become an Eagle Scout,
right.
and then you can become a leader within the community. You don't have to go through the Boy Scouts to become a leader. You just have to be an adult for that. But to become an Eagle Scout, you have to go through the whole process, and then you get rewarded by being an Eagle Scout. It's kind of the same concept as being a Mason. You have to do all these things, all these ceremonies, all these teachings. You have to learn the way. You have to you have to be you have to be dedicated. You have to go through the process, just like in school. You do your general education for 2 years, and you can go to your 4-year college, and then you can get a doctorate. You can't just get a doctorate. You have to go through the whole process. So you can't just be a Mason. You have to go through the whole process. And that's where it goes, is that there's a lot of things in the Mason concept that they say it's secret because they don't want to ruin the stages for you. So they say there's nothing out of the ordinary. There's nothing crazy. But if you knew what we were going to do, would you be interested in doing it? There'd be no reason to go through the whole course to know the outcome at the end. There's no accomplishment at that point.
If there was a cult that was hiding something, that's exactly what they would say.
Sure. But wouldn't you also say at the same time, when you get to a certain spot, it gets a little weird? Like Scientology. Scientology has the same concept. You get to different levels and they reveal more and more to you. Like Scientology, they believe in this
transhumanism.
Yes, but something about like flying over volcanoes and dropping in caskets, and they become these, what are they called? Thanes? Let me find the word.
Scientology.
Thetan.
A what?
They become the Thetans, like souls. So you get dropped into these volcanoes and become a Thetan, and like there's just some crazy stuff that all of a sudden.
Is that how you say it? Teton.
Thetan. So at first it's just improving yourself, and then all of a sudden they start throwing this like afterlife, throwing coffins into volcanoes and becoming some spiritual being, and like as you go up you start learning more and more, and you're just like, what in the heck is going on here? But like with Masons, it's more or less just like trying to improve your community. So there's actually a lot of Mason groups will only allow men in, but then there's also some groups that allow men and women in, and then there's some groups that are only women, and then there's like subgroups, kind of like Boy Scouts. So that like kids of the Masons can go into, and then so they don't necessarily intermingle, but they still kind of have the same concept. So like the all men one won't meet with a group who is men and women, but they don't necessarily teach.
But it's like the Boy Scouts. It's like you said, every lodge has their own way of doing things, and sometimes they compete with each other. Sometimes they they'll go and do activities and see who wins or raise the most money, and then right. So it's all, in a sense, it's the same thing but separate.
Yeah.
So those are.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I didn't really know too much about the Masons. It's a very prominent cult that you'll find online. Oh, they do these types of rituals, dark arts, and they follow and they believe in the God of Light, who's supposed to be Lucifer. I don't know if that's all true, by what you're saying.
I don't think the majority of them do. I'm sure there's small sects of them that do, like small lodges that may have done that, but the majority of what it seems is that they use it for for discipline. So, like, there's a leader of the lodge, and you show utmost respect. If he's speaking, you look at him and you listen. Don't turn your back on him. Same thing. So let's say I'm the head of the lodge and you're below me. You need to pay attention to what I'm saying, and when I speak, you listen. Same thing when someone's below you, the same thing. So you keep the hierarchy, and you keep you show the respect for the person who deserved it. And it's not like I'm a god, I'm better than you. It's just show respect for who earned it.
With the Freemasons.
Yeah.
But
and that's what kind of makes sense. Like, but if they abuse it for some other reason, that's where I find the issue.
Right. Well, everything good comes to an end.
Yeah. So
you know? So okay, so that's the Freemasons. Okay.
Hold on. There's one. Two more things I want to talk about.
Okay.
Very quick. So I was watching the documentary about the Freemasons on it was Netflix, and absolutely nothing about it was weird to me. Outside of like the people were a little weird, like not weird. Like I thought they were doing something weird. Just kind of like you look at some guy and you're like, that guy's kind of weird. Like
you would if you saw him out on the street, you say, yeah, he would be one of those guys who's in this weird cult.
Yeah, almost kind of nerdy. Not necessarily cultish weird, like nerd weird.
What do you say?
Like he doesn't know how to act in front of a woman. Kind of weird.
What do you say that the square that they use it means that they're squares?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. So, but there was one weird thing. I was about to turn it off because I was so bored. I was like, "There's nothing here. This is ridiculous." And right as I was about to turn it off, they were standing in a circle and they were doing this kind of just like a chant, kind of how we did like in the field that day. And all of a sudden I noticed something weird. I was like, one guy's face is blurred out. I was like, this is weird. So I was like, all right, this sucked me back in. So I watched and then never saw the guy again. 10 minutes in, I'm like, all right, I'm bored of this. And I was going to turn it off again. And then that blurry face guy came back and they blurred his face out one more time. I was like, this is weird. Why is this one guy's face blurred out? It makes no sense to me. But I just thought that was super weird. Like, why are they hiding this guy?
God, you hyped it up, and that's all you can say.
That's it. Why would they blur this guy's face out?
Maybe
and so
he
now
died.
I started thinking, all right, maybe there is something weird and hidden in this.
God,
in this Mason,
Greg, our listeners are gonna hate us. You built the hype.
That is hype. That means that maybe they are hiding something. They're hiding this guy's face.
Man. You built
because
hype,
they had
dude.
me for a minute. They're like, I was like, all right, this is boring. There's nothing here in the Masons, and then this guy's hidden. So now in my head, I'm like, okay, there is something here. I just don't know what it is.
Bro, you're like the DJ that hypes up that song, and then right when it's supposed to drop, you switch it to a different song.
I'm just trying to find out who this guy is. Why is this guy hidden? That's all I'm saying.
Well, privacy issues. Maybe he didn't agree to be on the movie, or he didn't agree to, or maybe he passed away. They can't show him because he died or something. I don't know.
Maybe. But the last thing I just wanted to say, some of like the famous people who were Masons. There's a huge list. I'm going to skip some of the ones that maybe not everyone would know. So like George Washington was a Mason. Ben Franklin was a Mason. Jesse Jackson was a Mason. He was part of the civil rights activists. Franklin Roosevelt was a Mason. He was the 32nd president. Andrew Jackson was a president. John Wayne was an actor. Theodore Roosevelt was a president. Houdini, he was a Mason. Charles Lindbergh. Do you know Charles Lindbergh? He was the first guy to fly the Atlantic Ocean from here to
yeah, that's right,
to Europe. Voltaire was a French Enlightenment writer. He was a Mason. Gerald Ford was a president. William Howard Taft, also a president. Mozart, the composer, was one. Mark Twain. Sugar Ray Robinson, a boxer. Michael Richards.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Was Shaquille?
Yeah.
He was a Mason?
He's a Mason. I think he's a 33rd degree Mason. Oh,
what?
Okay, so
I didn't know that. But hold
Okay.
on. I got one more name.
okay.
Michael Richards, which you probably don't know him by that name, but Cosmo Kramer from
Kramer?
Seinfeld. Kramer.
He's a Mason?
He's a Mason.
Of course he would. He seems like one of those guys who would be in a robe and then he'll just like he'll be in the bathroom. He just comes out and slaps the door open.
Yeah. I didn't know Shaq. I didn't see
Shaquille
his
O'Neal, I think, is a 33rd degree Mason.
Do you know
Hey,
what?
and so what does the numerology mean? Did you ever get into that?
So I looked it up, but
What's
there was
with
so
the
much.
3-3?
There was so much into it. They didn't necessarily say there was a meaning to it, but 33 degree just meant the highest degree of being a Mason. So there's the different steps.
Don't they call
to their
them like
number.
grand wizards or something like that?
No.
Yeah,
I
dude.
don't think it's any. I don't
Dude,
think there's a crazy
Last time
name for it.
we did a rabbit hole on the
The Grand Wizard is the KKK, I believe.
really?
Yeah.
So 33rd degree Mason.
Yeah, because we talked about the 33 degree Mason because it had the connection to the restaurant in Disneyland.
Did we
Club 33.
Yeah.
Which would mean
Gosh,
only the
I can't read
highest in the order. Well, maybe they just mean in an order. Maybe it has nothing to do with Masons. But who knows? Maybe Walt Disney was a Mason.
Maybe. Well, it says right of 25 degrees. Huh. I don't see. Let's see. I don't see it here.
But now,
Oh, here we go. So degrees 31 or 33. What is this? The 33 degrees of the Scottish Rite are conferred by several controlling bodies. The first of these is the Craft Lodge, which confers the entered apprentice, fellow craft, master mason degrees. Craft lodges operate under the authority of the national Grand Lodges, so not the Scottish Rite. What? I don't. Let's see. Okay, here we go.
so like there's so
30
much information that goes into it, but
So 33rd degree Inspector General, Sovereign Grand Inspector General. But what does that even mean?
so that's the rank. So anyone can become a 33 degree Mason. They just have to go through the whole process. But there are other rankings within Masonry because there's different lodges and there are different levels of responsibility. So they say that when you go in there, everyone is equal. There's no like I'm the best Mason there is. Everyone's equal, but yes, different people have different roles. So there is someone who's going to lead everyone. There is someone who's going to work the bar. There is someone who's going to open the doors for people. That's just life.
yeah.
But
See,
I
Shaquille
think-
O'Neal's there.
I didn't know that.
Scottie Pippen, also basketball.
What?
John Elway from football.
So if you look at it, it's maybe the success
Arnold
is not
Palmer.
because of these groups. Maybe the success is because of what the groups provide you by structure
The
and
discipline,
want
structure.
to increase and better yourself. So maybe we can even consider the podcast our cult. Because we started it because we wanted to improve and start researching things we wouldn't normally talk about. Because when we used to hang out, we would sit there and we would just turn on some YouTube and laugh at people running into a tree. That didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like learning about this kind of put different concepts into my head as to why, what within these cults could be good and what could you take and apply to yourself to improve your own life.
Yeah. Well, it's a lifestyle. It's being a Freemason. It seems like it's a lifestyle, right?
I just want to
It's a
see
way
him.
of It's a way of life that they work under. But why does it make people uncomfortable? This is the thing about the secrecy of the whole ordeal about this is it makes people uncomfortable in a way. When you talk about like, yo, you're a Mason? Well, what does that mean? Oh, well, we can't talk about it because I swore a secret oath.
Yeah. But I mean, that's why people say, "Oh, religion is dangerous," or this and that, because of things that happen within the religion. Like, like I say, I would say that I believe in in the Christian religion. So yes, bad things have happened because of the Christian religion. But is it the Christian religion to blame, or the people who use the Christian religion for their own personal gain?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't
Yeah.
like I don't agree with the Crusades going out there and killing people who aren't Christians. But is God to blame because they went out there and did that, or is it on them? So, like we said, we don't have enough information, so we're blaming the wrong person.
Right.
Like,
Well, really
the more
quick
data we have, the
before
better
we
decision we
skip
can make.
Shaq. So Shaquille has long been a patron and supporter of youth programs and the Boys and Girls Club of America, providing charity uplift the poor and disadvantaged in society. Among these efforts, O'Neill helped homeowners affected by the 2008 housing crisis to keep their homes by buying their mortgages and offering better terms. It was for these charitable inclinations, as well as his excellence in the sports of basketball, that Brother O'Neill was made a Master Mason at sight, a rare and exclusive honor. So they call him Brother Shaquille O'Neal. Currently is one of the stars in the show and said, okay, blah, blah, blah. Ah, I didn't know they had universal
I wonder what that
code
means,
masonry.
though. He was
brother.
made a master mason at sight. That almost sounds as if he was made something because of his deeds and not because of... Almost like he was honorary and he's not like a full mason in a sense.
Yeah.
We'd have to look more into that.
Look at this. They have a free Masons for Dummies. Dude, I should have read this.
That's funny. For
The
dummies.
pentagram? Oh, yeah. So why do they use the pentagram everywhere?
So they call it a 3-pointed star or something like that.
I think it's a
3-pointed triangle or something like that. Because it almost, when I first saw it, it almost kind of looked more like the Jewish star. Because there has been things within it where there's like Jewish Masonic people and there's Islamic Masonic people, and they kind of were fighting. And then some people are also saying the Illuminati came out of it. And so that's the thing. Like, we see symbols and we relate it to other symbols.
But okay,
And I
so
feel like
you and I
sometimes-
would agree that the upside down pentagram is also a very popular satanic logo,
Sure.
right? Wouldn't you say that?
Okay. But what about the star that we think of on a Christmas tree? Do we think that that's a pentagram too? I guess it's not upside down.
Maybe they sold it that way.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, oh, look at these people. They don't know what they're doing. But
So
that's very, very interesting. Why would they do it upside down? Why wouldn't, like this one? What is this thing called? Okay,
Yeah,
so let me show you guys what we're talking about here.
something that I read though, like how on the dollar bill it has the triangle with the all-seeing eye on there, and they say that the Masons did that. I guess they say that because they thought that I think it's Benjamin Franklin was involved with making the dollar bill, so they were trying to say that the Masons designed it, but he actually had no involvement with making the dollar bill, and so that kind of disproved the theory of the Masons kind of being involved in it at all. But I don't know, when you see some of the symbols, like the symbol on the left hand side, that's an Egyptian symbol.
But you have to realize that this one, the one we're looking at, this is representing the golden ratio.
That's one of the things, is that's pi on the bottom right?
Mm-hmm.
So the golden ratio is part of
The numerology.
numerology, which
they're
then gets
also
back.
very into, because, and I would assume so, because if you're a master builder, right, you're creating these, you're going around the world creating these cities, and you do it with the precision of the golden ratio.
Uh-huh.
I would assume that they yeah, that they would use it quite often everywhere.
So the the only thing that I see with that is that we discovered a pattern that is part of life, but doesn't determine life. Like, so I was watching a documentary, The Code, on Netflix, and they brought in this lady who was a sound expert, and she was in this room that was soundproofed, even the floor. So she was like above the floor on this like grate that had soundproofing under her, sides, above her, front, everywhere. So it's this room you go inside, and she started talking. Oh, sorry, hold on.
You didn't cry?
No, I had a cough or burp. I don't know what it was, and she played sound, and she was like, "Listen to this sound. Listen to this sound. Listen to this sound." And she's like, "What do you think about these sounds?" She's like, "Oh, this one sounds kind of like something was scared. This one is like a warning sign, and this one was music." She's like, "Yeah, but when you look at it, you can see when the sounds are similar, just maybe a higher pitch, that we perceive it as a more enjoyable sound. But like a siren or like an alarm clock sound, those sounds are so sporadic that our brain automatically sees that as something we need to address. We need to figure out what's going on right away, or danger kind of thing."
Mm-hmm.
So when using the golden ratio, you can use it in many different ways. So some people use it to make logos. Like I started trying to make logos with the golden ratio. You use different circles to create the image that you want to make
And
a
the
more
golden
uniform
ratio
image.
is so that it's aesthetically pleasing, right?
Yes.
And you can find it everywhere in nature. You can find it in
So it's even.
even.
It has a like there's like bees. Bees will consistently build the same. They all build hives. They all build hives the same way. They all have a hexagon. They don't. Some of them don't build it in a triangle or in a circle or in a square. They all build the same exact way because of the way they were also made. The hexagons are formed with their bodies going through it, and they use their bodies as like a measuring tool. So when it comes back to, let's say, like making the art, they
Mhm.
use a measuring tool to get the perfect measurements to make what you could consider a perfect circle or a perfect image. So
Yeah, I see.
some people will take that and go even further. So like the skull and bones we were talking about earlier, about it's the skull and bones and then there's the number 322. So numerology would take the 322 and make it a bigger thing than it is. So let me
So Skull and Bones, the 322, wasn't that a chapter in the original literature
original literature of what?
of the? It was like it came out of a German book. Let's see. So here we go. So this is the logo for Skull and Bones, which is a secret society, secret club based off at Yale University. And so, do you have any information on 322, Greg, or no?
Okay, so 322. So if you look, there's 2 eyes on the skull. There's 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth. Not sure where that was going with that.
What?
So okay, so look at the numbers.
Okay.
There's two eyes, 2 ears, 2 nostrils, and 1 mouth. You add them up, it's going to give you a number. So you see how that picture has the 3, 2, 2. It gives you 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. Or sorry. So your 3 plus 2 gives you the 5. So then 5 plus 2 is 7. So then you put the 7, so you add the last 2 to get you 9. And all these numbers on the side mean something specific. But 322 is a secret number some believe to be more significant because occult groups use groupings of 3 numbers to hide bigger meanings. So like the number 333 actually means 666. The number 999 actually means 666. 666 is the number of the beast, which is a satanic number. Where I swear I had it written down with the 322 was theorized to be. Maybe I have to go to this website real quick.
So why? Okay, if if you have a secret club at Yale University, what's up with this skulls and bones? Do you know what this is from?
What?
Why they chose this logo or the name? And I don't think that the name is actually that, right? The name was something different. I read.
They had another name. I don't have that written.
Oh, the Order. They know it as the Order.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's so many different things that people take it because it's a secret society. Obviously, you don't have the exact explanation, and no one in the society has come out and said, "Oh, this is what it means." So I have so many different meanings behind it, but some people say that the great unknown secret behind the skull and crossbones is that it is not a symbol of death, but of life. It was used by ancient priests and priestesses worldwide, from the Mayans in Mesoamerica to the Etruscans in Europe. Everywhere in antiquity, the skull and crossbones symbol conveyed the same exact meaning. By the Middle Ages, intellectuals in Europe were calling it memento mori, which is Latin for remember you are mortal and remember you must die. So some people are saying that this is a reminder of the temporary nature of human life and the inevitability of death. Thoughts of death remind us of the transient nature of earthly pleasures, which are fleeting. This contemplation opens the door to the soul within, which is eternal life within each of us. The art of attaining spiritual heights by contemplating directly upon a skull and crossbones was never completely forgotten. It became common among occult groups like the Freemasons. But I mean, in other ways that you see just the symbol of skull and bones not related directly to the cult is within like poison logos or danger or death or like pirates use it. So it's really a symbol of like being scared of us kind of thing. So some people actually believe that the logo, the skull and crossbones, came from ancient Egypt, where pharaoh's tombs would have the pharaoh carved in top with 2 crossing scepters beneath it. So the bones were the same concept as the scepters.
Greg, did you ever see the I won't put it up, but maybe you and I can watch it here. Did you ever see the initiation ritual for Skull and Bones?
You talking about the thing Alex Jones did?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we had watched it.
I don't think we ever did.
So they said that they used someone who acted like a mock child. So it was like a child sacrifice.
Oh no. No. That's Bohemian Grove. So the Skull and Bones, they had this there was a video that went viral where it was like the fraternity was saying something like they were initiating this person, and they were saying like you have to, I don't know, dude, it was let me see if I can find it really quick. it said some weird stuff, dude. It was like something about like it was like a mocking like a human sacrifice. Um,
Well, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it because, um, so the X is also supposed
oh,
to.
so Greg, maybe you can
What
mute us. Can you mute us so you can listen to this?
do you mean?
Can you mute our mic so that we can listen to this really quick?
It's on the top. So he's playing a video about the Skull and Bones sacrifice. I did hear
Did you
this
see
one.
this one?
Yeah. So Skull and Bones is also the one where they were supposed to lay in a coffin naked while
That's the one.
masturbating, right?
Yeah, that's the
And
one.
confessing
Uh-huh.
like what they like, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one.
Like that's crazy. Like imagine that. If it let's just say it's true. That means that George W. Bush, the president, did it. His dad did it. There was who? Oh yeah, so
Barack Obama.
Bush was supposed to be in it, the son, and then the guy he ran against. What's his name? What's his name? Who did Bush run against?
I just had
John Kerry.
No, something low.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
I just saw it too.
I have it written down. I just have so much written down. I can't find it.
I'll find it. Al Gore. Bush.
No.
versus Gore?
Okay, so
Or who?
George W. Bush and Senator John Kerry.
Oh,
So-
you mean senior? Bush senior?
Was that senior?
Yeah. Right?
No, I thought that was the son.
December 12th, 2000, Bush versus Gore.
Okay, so then it was the father then. So when he was in it, so they only choose 15 people every year to join. So I don't know if people who stick around in it forever, like they come back all the time every year to do all this stuff, or how it would work.
From what I
But-
saw, it was some members would just kind of silently drop off,
That's what I would
and
figure.
then some members would be active and try to whatever the mission of whatever they had at that time
So
was.
just for mathematical purposes, let's just say that if you didn't go to the school, you would more than likely not be going. So there would be 15 people per year. So in a 4-year time span, there's only 60 people part of Skull and Bones, 60 active members part of it. So
And
George W. Bush was there, and John Kerry were there at the same time. They were 2 years apart in college, so they would have been part of Skull and Bones at the same time. And George
No.
W. Bush said he had never met John Kerry.
You know why? It's because they only recruit members when they're in as juniors. You have to be a junior in order to be admitted into the Skull and Bones. And so what happens is that you only spend 1 year of your life in the Skull and Bones at the school, and then afterwards you're outside. That's the reason why.
Huh. I didn't see that. So, I mean, if that's the case, then maybe.
Yeah, I read it somewhere when I was doing some of this research there. So
Okay.
that's the reason why that happened, is because if they were 2 years apart, when I don't know who was older, Bush or whoever the other guy was, it was because they were only being, oh, you know what? I have it right here, dude. Let me show you. Where is it? Here we go. I have it somewhere here. Okay. So for people that are outside of it, we usually call it Skull and Bones. So, but people who actually go there, it's called the Order. And at the Order, I'll show you here how a member is chosen or how a member is chosen by the Order. The selection procedure for new members of the Order has not changed since 1832. Each year, 15 and only 15, never more, never fewer, are selected in the past 150 years. Of about 2,500 Yale graduates have been initiated into the order. At any one time, about 500 to 600 are alive and active. Roughly about 1/4 of these take an active role in furthering the objectives of the order. The others either lose interest or change their minds. They are silent dropouts. So here, a Yale junior cannot ask to join. There is no electioneering. Juniors are invited to join and are given two options: accept or reject. Apparently, some amount of personal information is gathered on potential members. The following is the kind of evaluation. Okay, we don't have to get into that. Where does it say? I might have missed it. Where does it say? Yeah, it's supposed to be a junior. So a Yale junior cannot ask to join.
Well, I mean, that's what it says right there.
Yeah,
a
but
Yale junior cannot ask to join. It's an invite only, so they only invite juniors.
They said something about the how they only spend 1 year there, and then the rest of the time they spend it outside of there. I'm not sure where I missed it.
Okay.
But that's basically what they were saying.
So I just found the meaning that I was looking for the 322. So the skull and crossbones, like this is where that hidden meaning is that people wouldn't tell you. So the crossbones is an X, right? So now we'll take the 322. So the 322, so if you do 3 times 2, the first 3 and the 2, you're going to get the number 6. Okay? So if you use the 6 times the last 2, you're going to get the number 12. So since 12 is thought to be 6 plus 6 in the numeric in numerology, you think when you see the number 12, you think of 6 plus 6. An occultist would understand 322 to have a numeric value of 66. So when you take the 66 and you add in the 600, which is the value of X, you're getting 666, which is the number of the beast. So in numerology, they would see those numbers and the hidden X within the crossbones as saying 666.
Are you sure somebody just didn't smoke pot and came up with that?
Well, this is where the numerology uses numbers to have a hidden code. But I mean, how much of a stretch? What if I did 3 times 2 times 2 just got, well, yeah, they kind of just
I think that
did it in a weird way.
It's like they're reaching.
It's almost a reach. But if you think about it too, at the same time, when you do coded things, you make a reach. You have to reach to get a code. Like,
yeah, somewhat.
So that's the thing is, if it's a secret, it's a secret, and we don't know.
Where is it?
But when you start looking into all these things and how numerology now can connect to the skull and crossbones, and how the similarities between skull and crossbones and numerology are so close that maybe if you start looking into the two of them, you'll find more and more consistent things that people who join it are doing. You have a higher probability of knowing, like, this is what these people are into. Like, finding out that Shaq was a Mason kind of doesn't necessarily surprise me now that he's been very charitable.
Mm-hmm.
Where, let's say, Dennis Rodman has just kind of spoiled his money.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, so here we go. So, satanic aspects of the order. Even with our limited knowledge of the internal ritual of the order, we can make 3 definite statements about the links between order and satanic beliefs. The first link is through photographic evidence of the association of skull and bones with satanic devices. Example, the skull and crossbones. The second link is through satanic symbolism. The third link is through the association of the order with the New Age movement, well documented in a remarkable new book by Constance Cumby, The Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow. What? Wait a minute. So now what is this? The hidden dangers of a rainbow. It reflects years of in-depth and extensive research. The author claims the movement's supreme purpose is to subvert our Judeo-Christian foundation and create a one-world order through a complex network and occult organizations.
So I didn't...
1983?
I don't believe this, but I kind of pieced it together because this is one of the things that started this week too, is I started reading the Bible because I've been wanting to read the different Bibles of different religions to see similarities within them. But I read in Genesis, because they talk about Noah and flooding the earth and all that, and the rainbow is part of where they say this is God's warning, saying, "Hey, I did this once. The next time, there's no warning. The world's over." Essentially, so we're seeing rainbows now, right? In a big way through like the LGBTQ community, right? I'm not saying there's a problem with them. I'm not saying that this means that it's end time, but like if you think about it, it's a symbol that we saw as a warning of, hey, next time I come, the world's over.
See, the problem
so you could piece something together like that and say, hey, there's an issue here.
But wouldn't you say that the problem with the Bible, and if you've actually started reading it, you'd find that you can take all those words and apply them to any point in time? So just because it says that doesn't mean that that's the absolute truth. Maybe it's because, okay, in modern civilization, a rainbow is like after a rainy day. The sun shines, you get a rainbow, things are back. It's nice, and things are back to normal, right?
Okay.
We're always going through a dark time.
Okay.
So does this mean that the dark times is over? I don't think so.
No, it's a warning to us saying, hey, we screwed over the world once. I cleansed it. I cleansed it. You screw it up again, the world's over.
But you think that if God is almighty, he's going to come and give us a rainbow as a warning?
Sure, why not? He created the world.
But why a rainbow? Why would he choose a rainbow? Why not
why water? Why grass? Why air?
Yeah, but you're saying that this is how he's communicating with us.
You can see it in the sky.
What?
You can see it from anywhere. A rainbow.
But it's not across the world. It's like...
And because it was a flood, and it happened from rain. And what happens after it rains? You see a rainbow.
I don't know, man. I think that's a big reach.
No, I was just saying the connectivity between it, saying that it's saying that the symbol rainbow in the Bible is a symbol of like a warning. So I'm just saying now that we have something in our day, a rainbow that we see consistently now, we can perceive it as a warning where someone else is using it as this is a community of the LGBTQ gay community. So you can take symbols and that may not mean anything to different people. Like we have the thought process symbol that we put at the beginning of this, which is a light bulb. Why do we choose a light bulb?
To spark your damn thoughts, man.
Yeah. So we think of the word spark as a light bulb. Why? What light bulb sparks? It's a symbol that we've heard and we've seen from examples that means something, that someone could take that symbol somewhere down the line. Say we become the most popular people in the world. They'll take that symbol and try to turn it into something that it's not. They'll go into some rabbit hole about what it's not. So maybe that's what we've done with a lot of different groups out there.
Yeah, we always try to find, and that's the thing about these occult, cults and groups, is that it's so fun to think about the things that they're supposed to mean.
Yeah.
We always try to find meaning in all these things. So really quick before we move on to the next thing, I found this. So the Hidden Dangers of the Rainbow, right?
Okay.
Written by Constance Cumby in 1983. So Cumby identifies Benjamin Crane and the Terror Center based in New York, Los Angeles, Amsterdam, and London as a New Age phenomenon. To Crane are linked Unity and Unitarian Church leaders, unknown to Cumby. The order has long-standing and significant links to the relatively small Unitarian Church. In fact, former President William Taft, whose father co-founded the order, was president of the Unitarian Association in his time. Cumby identifies the link between Hitler and the New Age movement, and former research by his author linked the order to the founding and growth of Nazism. Most significantly, Cumby states that the New Age movement plans to bring about a new world order, which will be a synthesis between the USSR, Great Britain, and the United States. Finally, Cumby points out that the Antichrist and satanic aspects are woven into the cult of the New Age movement. So the period is constant at 2, while the decade increases by 1 each year, or each 10 years. The 0 number is always less than the class number up to 1970 and 2 after 1973.
Why'd you stop reading?
I'm trying to figure out what they're saying here. So, in other words, the first list of members, the class of 1833, was designated. Oh, they're just explaining how they write it. But that's. What do you think about that? What do you think about this, the New World Order? And you know that there's a very famous speech televised by what's his name? By George W. Bush.
Well, if you think about it too, like take it back to like even Christians believe that that's going to be a thing. Catholics believe that that's a thing. End times, when the world comes together and follows one leader, that leader will be the Antichrist. And so, I mean, all of what's being said, we've heard. Now the question is someone actually trying to do that?
Yeah.
They know, and they'll push again, and I'll say to them, read my lips.
So we're watching a speech from Bush Sr.
Yeah, you can see it on highlights from Bush's 1988 RNC speech. Ironically, it's by CNN.
So what exactly are you looking for? The thing where he talks about the New World Order?
Yeah, he says, when we enact the New World Order, and when we're successful with the New World Order, which we will. He says it like that, and he points at the camera, dude. It's kind of creepy.
I do remember that. I feel like it'd probably be at the end. But that's the thing, is that when you get people who are willing to put more work into themselves, they're going to want, or they're going to feel like they deserve something.
Mm-hmm.
Because people who don't put work in themselves, they don't. A lot of times they just don't care. Nothing really matters. So you're gonna find people in higher positions who put more work into themselves because they want to get more out of it.
Yeah.
But now, if you think about it on the other hand, let's just say there is one government, right? And they run it the right way. Is there a problem?
The problem, Greg, is that what is the right way? There is no right way. When you take a look at how communities and how diverse people are and how our beliefs are different, there's no real one way to unify things except aliens.
Let's just
if
say
an alien was to come, like if we had an alien, an alien invasion, I would believe it. I would say, you know what, the U.S. and China are gonna work together to, if it's a real threat, that we're gonna, as humans, we're gonna work together to defeat the common enemy. Outside of that, we see the world in very different ways. It's almost virtually impossible for you to relate to somebody across the world.
Well, have you seen Vikings, the TV show Vikings?
No.
This is about what's his name? I can't even think of his name now. Ragnar Lothbrok, and his son. He takes over Scandinavia, and he wants to be the king.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the last episodes of it, they talk about it might be a spoiler alert, but not really. Holy smokes! I don't know where I was going with this.
Vikings and
No, I know, but I don't know where the point was going.
I have no idea.
God damn it! I don't know where I was going.
We were talking about the New World Order, one government.
I don't know where I was going with it.
Vikings.
So, no, we gotta move on. I don't remember where I was going with it.
All right, so we're still watching this. I think it's this one right here. Oh, right here.
Oh, this is where I was going with it. They can't hear it. So they were talking at the end, and it was the guy who wanted to be the king of Norway, talking to his brother who also wanted to be the king of Norway, and they were trying to say what their father's legacy was, and one of the sons said to unite Norway, and the other one said the legacy was to defeat the gods, and the son who wanted to unite Norway was like, if you think that that's what he wanted, you didn't know my father well enough. But now that I thought back on the show, I was like, yes, he did kind of want to defeat the gods because he became a Christian, and then he went back to the gods, and he really did want to defeat the gods. And what if the whole the world order concept is to unite to try to defeat the grand architect or God in the sense?
I think that from a human perspective, I wouldn't buy that for a second. And I say that because humans are easily corrupted. And power, we've seen it again and again. You see dictators around the world. It's not about like this figuring out the mystery of life, or bringing together people, or unifying things, and maybe making sure everybody is treated right. And Everybody has food on the table. That's a promise to a broken dream. It's like they're promising something to get you to believe in this idea, and at the end of it, they have their own hidden agenda.
Sure. But see, that's where it comes down to
because
the
there's
whole.
no perfect thing. There's no perfect world. There's no perfect people. How could we sit here and contemplate utopia?
But see, I think there are definitely improvements that can be had everywhere to make life better in the sense for everyone, and then you can improve your own life past that. So if everyone was able to have food, regardless if it was you were given a plate of one vegetable, some rice, and chicken, and you can get that 3 times a day. But obviously, the way we eat, we know that you're not going to want to eat that consistently every day, 3 times a day. So maybe if everyone's provided that, and if you want to get anything past that, so you have a place to live and you have food on and you have water. If you want anything better than that or past that, you then have to go out and put the work in to get those things. Let's just have a very simple baseline to improve everyone's life, to improve life overall. And I think something like that would be more achievable.
I would agree with you, but the problem is that the next thing people are going to say, "Oh, well, my parents were only able to get food on the table. I want money. I don't want just food. I want money." Okay, well, how do you get money?
Go and do it.
Well, no, it's going to create momentum. People are going to want to change it. And then someone at the top is going to say, "You know what? Sure, I'll give you money too." And then you don't have to work.
Yeah.
And then it's a slippery slope that we don't want to be a part of. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's easily corrupted. It sounds great on paper. It sounds great. But when you put it in action, I don't know, man. I've never seen it work.
I understand that too.
You know? So listen to this, Greg, here.
A new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order. An order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay. See, that could be. I want to see that whole speech now, because I never really paid attention, but I think you missed one important word that could change the whole thing if you listen to the whole speech. The last word he said was UN. You know what the UN is?
The United Nations.
Yes. So it's a new world order in the sense of rules that we abide by to be better neighbors, essentially.
United Nations is easily transcribed to a one world government.
Which actually UN is apparently super corrupt. So but what I'm saying,
my point is
you could just take that out of a context that wasn't there.
But how he said it.
Yeah.
It's not what he said, it's how he said it. When we what do you say? When we get the new world order, or when we're successful with the new world order, and we will. That doesn't seem like a pleasant thing, dude. It doesn't seem like, oh, and when you get your vegetables, and you will, like, okay, I'm okay with that. But the way he said it didn't make it seem. It doesn't convince me that this is a good thing.
When you get your $10,000, and you will.
And you will? Or and you will. Like, no matter what.
It's just what's put there.
No, man, I'm telling you. The communication, that's why it's so important, because the way you speak about it, the way you say things, your intent behind it, the way he looks at the camera and says it, it just, I don't know. It makes me feel very uncomfortable.
Now that
not gonna lie.
Now that we're talking about Bush, there's another documentary on Netflix that I watched called The Family. Have you heard of that? It's I didn't finish it, so I'm not sure if there's more to it, but at the start they don't make it seem necessarily cultish. It's a Christian based group who believes that leaders are chosen, not earned.
That's a cult.
And but the thing is that so far from what I've seen is nothing shady's happening, like nothing where they're sacrificing kids or they're stealing from people. But what it was they were very Christian based, so they would all pray.
Can I
But they
can I
did, they
can I
were
make a
based
comment
off
on that
of-
really quick?
Go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I do mean to cut you off. Who's choosing these people? Who are the chosen ones? How do they know that they're the chosen ones?
Sure. And that's where a problem can come in. But what they were saying is outside of an issue in that sense is that what they were doing is they were very well into the Bible. They would pray all the time. They would read the scripture. But what they do is they'd be in groups of men. So it'd be like a fraternity. So there'd be a house of 15 guys who lived together who could have families or a girlfriend or whatever. But the group of 15 guys, they were top priority. If they had a Bible study on Tuesday night at 6:00, but your mom's dying in the hospital, you better be there at 6:00. We are more important than your mom is. If your girlfriend wanted to go out on a date, but we have something that we need to do this day, you're not going out on the date. We're more important. God's more important, essentially. So those kind of things would be weird in that sense. But what they did is actually, I think almost every single president has done this since, I believe it was Senior Bush who started it, was there's that prayer meeting that they do every year where it's kind of like a big banquet and they like pray over the president and over the country. And the leader of the family was the person who created that event. So these chosen leaders have been around so many influential people and around every single president since Bush. And they've influenced decisions based off of the Christian religion. So the intent of it was to have all these people, these like fraternity houses all over, who would support these leaders in any way needed so that the leaders can succeed and influence. So you have 15 people who will clean your house, do your laundry, take you here to there, pick this up for you, like do anything to make sure that you succeed in preaching the word of God to powerful people to influence the world in the Christian religion. So in the sense of it, it was almost cultish because it was more about power than it was about God itself.
Yeah, and that's where I would think that's where the when you say power, that's exactly what the cult is after.
Yeah,
It's a centralized power. It's like you said, it's either a patriarchy or it's a hierarchy rather, and it's one person lays out all the ground rules and then everybody else has to follow. And yeah, man, I just don't think many good things come from it. I mean, I don't know. That could be very subjective, I guess.
I think the way of getting there, nothing good comes out of it, but a final result may result in something good.
Yeah.
I don't know, like how we talked about like medieval times that would like do tests on people and that was all bad, but what came out of it that was good. So I'm not saying that I wanted it to happen, but something good did come out of the bad. I don't know how to word that. I'm sure there's some kind of wording for that. It sounds really terrible, but
well, it's terrible times gave us good times.
yeah. So like what I was talking about with the whole Scientology thing, when they do the e-reader, like I'm sure they are improving their lives by being able to talk about things and get things out and find solutions to their issues. But someone else is abusing that. So I don't necessarily blame the people who are part of like lower levels for issues that have come from Scientology, but
Yeah,
the
and that's the
main
thing.
network
Like,
of it is bad.
yeah, and it's like what we said about about like the social media platforms. At first, the intent was good, and then it became something nefarious.
Yeah.
It became something that it maybe they didn't intend it to be, but they just became it. They have no control over. And I'm sure cults work the same way.
Yeah.
You know, man, this has been
Something that I kind of took from the Masons is just make sure to improve yourself. Because once you improve yourself, good things can happen. Just don't let someone abuse you in the sense of improving yourself. So work on yourself. Don't rely on someone else to work on you.
Well, I think that's pretty standard for everybody. I think that's a message everybody needs to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's good to have different views than the people around you.
yeah, it's what makes a good community. But what else? What else do you have? Do you want to keep going, or you want to make it a two-part podcast?
No, we can leave it there.
Yeah, I think
There's
we
so
can.
much-
There's so much stuff. We didn't even get into like the Nixum. Maybe we can get into the Nixum next time. There's also we wanted to talk about the Bohemian Grove and what people are doing up North California. There's a few other things that we didn't get into today that maybe we'll make this into a two-part podcast for you guys. Yeah, we're taking memberships for our cult.
no cults here. But yeah, come check us out on Instagram. We post 10 to 15 minutes before we go live every time. It's something we try to make it funny every time, something ridiculous. And you can find us on all the social media platforms if you want to keep up with us. We also have a merch store. It'll be in the description of the videos. It's on Teespring. We have is it only a white t-shirt? I didn't see if there were other
We have a
colors.
poster. We have a white T-shirt. I don't know. I really don't know if it looks good on any other type of T-shirt, any other color.
Okay, I only saw the white option, but there's a t-shirt and there's the poster on there. We're gonna be putting some other stuff on there. Go check that out, and it'll support us increasing the quality of the stream we got going on here, and help us get better materials so we can come up with better topics and a better flow of podcasting.
Awesome. Well, okay. So to close out today's podcast, I'm gonna be reading a little bit of the Cult of Personality song. So these are the lyrics from Living Color, the band. So here we go. I tell you one and one makes three. I'm the cult of personality. Like Joseph Stalin and Gandhi, I'm the cult of personality. The cult of personality. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Share us with your friends. See ya.